Hello and welcome to another edition of Trotsky or Bust. It's April 15th, tax day. Um, I just have a few topics I want to talk about real quick. First one is that's really, it's not even something to discuss. It's the attack on Syria and why Trump is doing it now. And also his talk about getting back into TPP, even though that was his main thing, main attack on Hillary, a legitimate one, and one that seemed promising when he got us out of it, but now he's trying to get back into it. The reason is, and to me, I don't know, tell me what you think. I think it's just that he's using the excuse that now they're forcing him to do this because Mueller has him cornered, and this is his excuse for being just a typical Washington politician who gets us into wars, into bad trade deals. And Trump is just being who we thought he always was. He doesn't give a shit about ordinary people, but Americans. He only cares about himself and his own family. And that's what he's doing this. There was a good, even Tucker Carlson on Fox News even had a segment where he questioned whether the gas attacks were even real. And you have to question it because, you see people there and I thought of it the first time. They were just so casual about it. They were using their hands to wash it away like it's nothing. Sarin gas is nothing. So who knows if the gas attacks are even real? I God knows. Trump, of course, is getting us back into another war. I hope this doesn't escalate in Syria, but it probably will, and he'll probably get us back into TPP. The main that's what I have to say about that. Main thing I want to talk about today is the Gaza Strip and what's happening there, and what I've seen a lot of what I consider to be the fake left and their attacks on Israel. And not that you cannot attack or criticize Israeli policy. Obviously, you could and you should, but you have to. If you don't do it fairly, then come on. One thing you never hear in these attacks is any mention of Hamas or Fatah, but Hamas is dog shit. They are total dog shit. They murder gay people. They treat women like second class citizens, and they get a free pass in all this. I mean, Jeremy Corbyn a few years ago called Hamas and Hezbollah his friends. Really? These are your friends? Forget about Israel. Just think about that. You would call someone who executes gay people or, have women just treated like second class citizens. These are your friends? Now, I know he's retracted that. He says he wish he hadn't said it, but is he thinking? What's he thinking when he says that? I don't know. I don't know. Or lately, in what I've seen on what I call I don't know, these pretend leftists who, they don't trust the media, don't trust MSNBC, will make fun of MSNBC or the Washington Post. But if they say something bad about Israel, okay, now they trust them. They trust like Chris Hayes. They trust the Washington Post. As long as you say something bad about Israel, you're fine. And it's really disgusting. I mean, some of them even, they're disgusted with Putin because of Putin's treatment of gay people. But they're okay with Hamas. Okay, they're okay with Hamas. So I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. It's really discouraging. I mean, as someone who's a true leftist that can see the real issue, the real enemies of the Palestinian people are not Israel. It's Hamas, Fatah. These are corrupt organizations that don't give a shit about their own people, and they're sending them out to go face the Israeli snipers or army, or they fire missiles into Israel when they know that Israel has much better missiles. They know they cannot win a conventional war in Israel. They do this to distract their people. That's the only reason they do it. Okay, and any real leftist knows that. And the same is true of Fatah. The same is true of Netanyahu and the Likud. They love this. Okay, this plays right into Netanyahu's hands. He's a corrupt politician. Hopefully, he'll go to jail. He's under investigation. He's totally corrupt, but he uses this, and he uses, unfortunately, those people, the fake leftists in Europe, especially to to advance his own agenda. The word leftist, and remember, Israel was founded by socialists. Okay, and but the word leftist has turned into a dirty word in Israel, and it's because of people who I don't know what the word to use other than anti-Semites who can't come out and say anything anti-Semitic, so they're not anti-Semitic, they're anti-Zionist. I don't buy it. No Jew buys it. I know. You're going to say, well, they're Jews. Jill Stein, she's plays along with this, where they'll bring on Jews onto their programs, onto their channels, just like Fox News brings on black people. You'll see black people on Fox News all day long. Big deal. Um, I don't understand it. It's very, very disheartening. Is it anti-Semitism? Or is it like just a feeding frenzy? Like in the 90s or in the 80s, you had about South Africa. Well, South Africa had apartheid. Apartheid is terrible. No one's debating that. Obviously, it was. But was South Africa the worst country in Africa or in the world? No. I mean, the colonialists, that's what they did, is they put the minority in charge. Okay, good example of this is what happened in Rwanda when the majority did finally overcome the minority and they massacred them. Now, all these people who were outraged about South Africa didn't say a peep about Rwanda, or they did, but very little. Okay, where was the world outrage there? Why is it's okay for one group of black people to kill another group of massacre another group of black people? Um, my reasoning for this is guilt. People just felt guilty over the slave trade, over oppression, which is why there was such focus in South Africa and such, unfortunately, neglect of the rest of Africa and the rest of the third world, where these things go on are much worse. Now, why is it on Israel? I don't know. You tell me. Is it anti-Semitism? Is it? I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know. As a Jew, it's I don't know. I don't know. I remember once I was I'm a member of the Green Party, and I was at this function. We were at this picnic, and even at the picnic, they had a table. Had brochures on it, and I was manning it. Me and two other guys, and they were also Jews. But these guys had been in the Green Party a long time. These guys were hardcore Greens. So I brought it up. I said, why is the Green Party so anti-Israel? And I totally expected him to say things like, oh, it's because of the Netanyahu, or actually back then it was Sharon. Sharon, or it's because of the occupation. Because like I said, these guys were hardcore green. That's not what they said to me. They said to me exactly what I was thinking, is the Green Party started in Europe. And let's be honest, European anti-Semitism has been alive and well for 2,000 years. It didn't end when Hitler put a bullet in his head, okay? So that's why there's such a focus on Israel, even, not totally disproportionate. Ignore, people don't, no one talks about a Kurdish home. Now there is beginning to be a Kurdish homeland, but Kurds were actual people. The Palestinians are not, there's no such thing as a Palestinian any more than such a thing as an Iraqi or a Syrian. Okay, these are all just, they wanted an Arab state from Morocco to Iraq, but obviously the colonial powers wouldn't allow that. They didn't want, because that such a state would be so large and powerful and rich. They'd have all that oil. The Europeans didn't want that, so they divided it. The term Palestinian is about 150 years old. It comes, I guess, from Philistines. There was never a country of Palestine. Okay, some people have said that. That's nonsense. That it was once Palestine. What it was from 1917 to 1948, it was British Mandate Palestine, which was actually what is today Israel, the West Bank, Gaza, and Jordan. Jordan was once part of Palestine. And in fact, 80% of the civilians, the people of Jordan, are Palestinians. No one talks about that. No one talks about that. No one talks about, the refugees. They talk about the Palestinian refugees. Well, 5 out of 8 Israelis are either from Arab countries or descended from someone from Arab countries. My grandfather was from Iraq. He was a prosperous businessman there. He left Iraq with just a shirt on his back, and he was happy with that. And there was a huge displacement of Jews who came from Arab countries who had, Jews in Iraq had been there for about 2,500 years. And they were displaced and they came to Israel and they lived in refugee camps in Israel. except they didn't stay there for 70 years. Okay, they were in refugee camps for a year, 2 years, and then they were assimilated into the part of the country, which was very difficult because Israel went from having approximately 600,000 people in 1948 to 2 million in the early 50s. So it tripled in size. And yeah, they took in all those refugees. You don't just leave them in refugee camps forever. But, the Arabs did just that, and Israel's to blame. Every article I read, Israel's to blame. I saw killing of gay people in Gaza, Israel's to blame. It's just ridiculous. And I don't even know what to say. I guess it is anti-Semitism. Just like I said, when you see people on the right, at least on the right, they march in Charlottesville, which was about Confederate monuments, and somehow they start saying Jews will not replace us. At least they're not subtle. On the left, it's a lot more subtle, and I really hope it ends. There's no place for it, and don't pretend it's just you're criticizing Israel. No Jew believes that. Any Jew who does or tells you that they do is just pandering. Okay, you can criticize Israel, but criticize Hamas too, criticize Hezbollah or Fatah. It's not Israel that created all these problems. I mean, you can say, well, yeah, they came there, but where were they to go? I mean, they were persecuted in Europe. Europeans hate the Jews. They were persecuted in the Arab countries. They needed a homeland. Okay, they couldn't just continue that way. And this is it. And yeah, it's a bad situation, but it's a bad situation, for everybody. Trying to continually fight is only going to make the bad situation even worse. And it's too bad. It's because I don't think that's where the Arab people are, the Palestinians are. They just don't have a choice. Their leadership is shit. And instead of criticizing Israel, maybe you should look at that. Maybe we should try to get them decent leaders who are going to cooperate with Israel. If the people who claim to be caring about the Palestinians, then really just want Israel destroyed. I mean, I never hear them tell us what their solution is. What type of, if they could play God, how would Israel and Palestine look like? I never hear that from people. That's interesting. I'd like to hear that. And I think there's a reason why they don't tell us. They just don't want their true selves to come out. That's my thoughts today. I haven't talked about this topic before. I will talk about it again in the future. It's something that I just don't, as I see the revolution, the working people revolution, it doesn't have to be a bloody revolution like in Russia, but as I see that happening, I just don't want anti-Semitism to go hand in hand with it. It just be a terrible thing and wrong thing, and we can't let the wrong people get hold of our revolution. That's about it. Tell me what you think. Agree, disagree, like, dislike. Give me your comments. Anyhow, happy tax day, April 15th. Good luck at work tomorrow. And Trotsky out.